I just like to, smoke a joint every now and then.
Good people don't smoke marijuana.
You dick!
Welcome to VoteProPot-Cast, brought to you by VoteProPot.com.
Okay, guys, I'm thinking about opening up a dispensary and calling it Bud, Bong, and Beyond.
Ooh. Oh, I like that. I'll invest.
Do you think Bed Bath & Beyond might have a problem with that?
You might get a cease and desist for that one, but maybe not. I heard about a gun shop called Bloodbath & Beyond.
Oh, God.
Oh.
That's just poor taste.
Oh.
Actually, that was on The Simpsons.
Okay, that makes more sense.
Here we are again, folks. This is episode 16. You may notice we have an extra episode this week. Episode 15 was a special post-election roundup that we put out late last week to kind of just catch you up with how the midterms went. And so today we're back on our regular schedule. As usual, we want you to follow us, get involved, get in touch, check us out in all our episodes on VoteProPot.com.
Or you can send us an email at VoteProPot@gmail.com.
And please like and follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and LinkedIn. Just search for VoteProPot.
And today we're back on our regular schedule, and we have lots of great stuff, including the best 420-friendly vacation destinations, a story about some celebrity forays into the weed industry. We'll tell you about one congressman's blueprint for cannabis legalization. We have an article about a strain of cannabis designed to enhance sexual enjoyment, and much, much more. In this post-election or post-election episode, I think what we're finding is that unlike a lot of the midterm rancor that we heard leading up to it and during it, and even some that's lingering, the cannabis initiatives have been remarkably bipartisan. I think going into the election in places like Missouri, Utah, North Dakota, where else? Michigan, the research showed that Republicans favored legalization by about 45%, while Democrats favored it by some 69%. Now, it's still too soon to get the actual breakdowns on these initiatives about how the actual vote went. But I think, unlike so much of what we've watched over the last several months, there's quite a bit more consensus. These issues seem to cross partisan lines, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, it sure seems like it.
More and more every day.
Yeah, unlike most other topics being discussed in politics these days, And,
I think we can take a cue from the cannabis proponents to just kind of simmer down. I really don't think America is quite as divided as the pundits and the media and the politicians would have us believe. I think most people, to a great extent, agree on a lot of issues. And this is one that is, the gap is closing quite a bit. And, we can disagree about it. There are folks, good friends of mine, who really don't think that it's a good idea to legalize cannabis. I think they're wrong. We're still friends. We're good.
The three of us have very different political beliefs, I would say, and we're all buds. I mean,
Yeah, I'm right and you guys are wrong.
Well, those of us, or those of in our audience who have been listening to Vote Pro Podcast since the beginning will know that Andrew, Jay, and I each occupy different positions on the political spectrum. Andrew is a proud liberal. Jay is an enthusiastic libertarian. I'm what you might call a staunch conservative, or in layman's terms, a true American. And
actually, I don't know if I'm really liberal. I consider myself I'm an independent. I do agree with a lot of liberal stances on social issues, but when it comes to financial issues, I tend to maybe agree more with some Republicans. But I'm
interesting.
I'm an independent, extreme moderate that leans far forward.
There you go.
We've always said that about you, Andrew. And I would say that if you want to call my beliefs conservative, that's fine. I like to think in terms of founding principles. Equal justice, limited government.
You're what I've always considered a conservative. You're the traditional. Some people are calling themselves conservatives that are more extreme than what I consider.
Well, I think it's just that the terms liberal and conservative don't quite mean what they once did. Things have gotten very radicalized, and I'm not beholden or loyal to any party or politician or movement or group. I'm loyal to principles. Equal justice, limited government, free speech, rule of law, those kinds of things that I think are founding principles. If you want to call that conservative, fine, then I'm a conservative. Guilty.
That's a traditional conservative, but now there are people that aren't traditional and are calling themselves conservative.
Well, there's more to being a conservative than just being pro-gun.
Okay. But the point is we all can get along. We have difference of opinion, but we can get along. And it's about time. I think a lot of people are throwing their hands up in the air in disgust in the way some politicians are behaving on both sides of the aisle.
Yep.
And I think a lot of us just had it. We're tired of it. Just, let's get some work done, guys. Just shut your mouth and get back to work.
Yep. I agree.
Well, speaking of the elections, one big change, Phil, is that since Pete Sessions didn't get reelected, the new chairman of the House Rules Committee is Jim McGovern, who's on record as saying that he's pro-cannabis. Now, before, Pete Sessions killed every bill that came across that committee, and that's where all cannabis legislation went to die. But now it's going to make it through, and now it looks like we actually might have a chance. I mean, he's in favor of letting the states do what they want. He's in favor of opening up banking services, which is a huge deal.
Yeah, it really is a big deal. I mean, maybe one of the biggest pro-cannabis outcomes of the last election is that the fact that Jim McGovern, who's a Democrat from Massachusetts, is going to be the chair of the House Rules Committee because he is very pro-cannabis. And Sessions was, and we're not talking about the Attorney General, we're talking about Sessions, who is the chair, the Republican.
Pete Sessions.
He was extremely anti-cannabis. So that's going to make a huge difference.
That's interesting that both Sessions,
yeah. No relation.
have been shown
either.
the door. I know there's a joke in there somewhere. I just
gotta
can't come up with one.
Well, Pete Sessions was a Republican from Texas, and he lost his seat in Congress, and it's going to make a big difference. You're right, Andrew. It absolutely is. And one of the things that Jim McGovern said is that citizens are passing ballot initiatives, legislatures are passing laws, and we need to respect that. Federal laws and statutes are way behind. So his goal is to change that.
Yeah. Hello, Republicans, of which I am one. Well, sort of. This is federalism. You remember that? Federalism. States get to decide these things. This is government superseding state legislators and the will of the people of the states. Let's get back to federalism.
Phil, you asked the question on the last episode, did we think it would, a Democratic Congress, a Democratic House, is going to make a big difference. And this is one example that, and another one here is an article I'm looking at from Forbes magazine, Tom Engel, he's the guy who has the Marijuana Movement website, which is great. Congressman issues a blueprint to legalize marijuana for Democratic House in 2019. A key Democratic congressman has a step-by-step plan to enact the end of federal marijuana prohibition in 2019. Congress is out of step with the American people and the states on cannabis. Republican Earl Blumauer, a Democrat from Oregon, writes in an 8-page document addressed to the House Democratic leadership. So he lays out some of the things that should happen and that will move this ahead quickly. Some of the examples are the House Judiciary Committee should have hearings on descheduling marijuana. The House Veterans Affairs Committee should have hearings on safe and equal access to medical marijuana for veterans. And the House Financial Services Committee should have hearings on barriers to the safe access of banking services and capital, as well as unnecessary and unwise barriers to banking services for state legal marijuana businesses. So, in combination of what we talked about in the last episode with Mayor Bowser coming out in D.C. 4 hours after Sessions was fired and saying she was going to put forth legislation for D.C. to legalize selling weed. And then we've got the story Andrew just gave us about Jim McGovern. I think 2019 is going to be a really big year for cannabis. We'll see, but I think it could be a huge difference.
Oh, absolutely.
If you're going on vacation over the holidays or beyond, well, here's a list, courtesy of the Cannabis, of the 10 best 420-friendly vacation destinations around the globe. For travelers in search of a far-flung adventure, there are a growing number of states and countries where cannabis is tolerated, if not embraced. There are now 8 states that let adults legally consume marijuana, which we know, including Colorado, Nevada, California, and a few others.
Michigan, it's 9.
That's right. But there are some other places around the world where cannabis freedom can be a perk or a focus of your next vacation. One is in the nation of Portugal, Lisbon. Decriminalized small amounts of all drugs in 2001, swapping jail sentences for optional therapy. If you need therapy, you can go. Cannabis still isn't legal, and there aren't sanctioned sales or lounges anywhere in the country, but on a scale of 1 to 5, with 5 being virtually legal, a website webehi.org ranks Lisbon as a 4.5.
I'd be nervous.
Another location right here in the States, Denver, Colorado. We're all familiar with Colorado's legalization that occurred in 2012 and took effect in 2014. Freetown, Christiania in Copenhagen in Denmark. It's a semi-autonomous neighborhood in Denmark's capital city, formed in the early 70s when residents took over an old military base and established a commune of sorts that's lasted for decades. This bohemian enclave just across the river from the center of town was long known for having a green light district. So we're familiar with some of the red light districts. This is a green light district.
Speak for yourself.
Montevideo, Uruguay. The South American nation shocked the world in 2013 when it became the first country to fully legalize cannabis. Only residents can grow or buy marijuana from government-approved pharmacies, and word on the street is that it's not always the best quality. But residents can give weed away, which gives travelers another reason to make nice with friendly locals in Uruguay's laid-back capital city. Of course, anyone who has seen Pulp Fiction knows that Amsterdam is a destination in the European city. It's a liberal city having long beckoned curious tourists and experienced cannabis connoisseurs alike, leading many people to believe that marijuana is legal in the Netherlands. It isn't really. It actually just tolerates possessions of up to 5 grams of weed.
That's the strangest setup, Amsterdam. It's really weird.
It is. Now, I haven't been there, but from people I've talked to, it's pretty strange. Why do you think it's strange, Jay?
You can go into a coffee house and buy, or I don't think you can buy joints. You can
in Amsterdam, you can buy cannabis in coffee shops for personal use, but it's against the law to sell it wholesale.
Is that what it is?
No one really knows where the coffee shops get their weed.
Right. Yeah, that's what it is. So you can go into a coffee shop and buy a blunt with your espresso, but no one understands, or at least no one speaks of where the coffee shop gets the weed because it's illegal for them to buy it.
Well,
right? That's so weird.
I don't need to know, quite frankly.
Yeah, right. That's true.
I think a lot of the coffee shop operators have their own grow operations.
Yeah, okay, sure.
This next one may surprise some people. And honestly, I was shocked when I heard this. Negril, Jamaica. Can you believe?
What? Jamaica?
Jamaica, people actually smoke weed in Jamaica. It's been 2 years since Jamaica passed a bill decriminalizing marijuana. There's still no system in place to legally buy weed, but adults won't get in trouble for carrying up to 2 ounces in this beach resort town.
Nice.
And cannabis consumption is widely accepted throughout the island nation, thanks in part to its place in the Rastafari religion and lifestyle. No big surprise there.
A friend of mine went to Jamaica last year, and he said that guys were constantly coming up to him. Asking him if he wanted to buy weed. Constant on the beach and walking the streets and the shops and restaurants. He says these guys just, these Rastafarian looking guys just come up to you. Yeah, you want to buy a joint? And he pulls out all this shit out of his pockets. He's got like all different shapes and sizes and vape pens and everything. So that's interesting.
Well, I don't know. I'm not as adventurous as I used to be. I think I would think long and hard before I had to come up on
man.
that.
I'd be nervous anywhere out of the country. I mean, I know how to deal with our cops, but I don't,
Right.
Sure,
Yeah, you should be very careful.
Yeah, I'd be nervous.
I know when I was in Mexico, we found a tobacco shop. These guys who sold cigars, and they sold weed too, right out of their humidor. Yeah.
What? No
It
way.
was on the sly. I mean, there's no signs up, but we got to know the guys. I used to go to Playa del Carmen a lot. I mean, bartenders used to know. I mean, I'd walk into the bar and they would just put my drink down. They wouldn't have to ask me.
It was like Norm, only Andrew.
Yeah, but you ask them, and it's a
Good evening, everybody.
But be very careful. Be very careful. But in a lot of those Caribbean countries, you don't have to go looking for it. They come to you. You can't turn around without someone offering it.
Tel Aviv, Israel.
What?
Now, I've been to Tel Aviv. It's a really cool city. Lots going on, and the people are very friendly. According to the Cannabis, since legalizing medical marijuana in 1992, Israel has become the global leader in cannabis research. As Andrew has talked about on several of our episodes, making it ground zero for major cannabis conferences. No recreational sales are allowed, but the country decriminalized recreational marijuana for adults in March. People are known to freely light up in Tel Aviv, with the website marijuanatravels.com ranking the city an 8 out of 10 for smoking tolerance level. And the beaches are really nice, by the way. And the restaurants are awesome.
I think of Israel as such a conservative government. So, but I mean, I don't. You were there. What do you think? Does that surprise you?
Well,
Phil?
I mean, it's got its conservative elements, of course, and the president of, or I don't know if he's president or prime minister, Netanyahu, is on the conservative side of the spectrum, but it's not all conservative.
Okay.
I mean, it runs a spectrum just as much as the United States, I would think, but.
I believe
Both Jerusalem and Tel Aviv are very cosmopolitan cities. I mean, it could be anywhere in Europe.
Interesting.
Just walking down the streets. And if you check out the restaurants and coffee shops and things like that. So it doesn't surprise me at all.
Well, Israel was the first country to embrace medical marijuana.
They're head and tails over everyone else in terms of research.
Well, yeah, I mean, we wouldn't know half of what we know if it weren't for Andrew, do you remember the name of the research scientist who's doing all this work?
No, his name escapes me right now, but we saw his nephew lecture.
Oh, did you really?
Oh, that's right. That was him.
Did. We met.
Yeah, that's right.
Who's also a doctor. He
discovered all the compounds, and he
discovered THC. He's the guy that discovered THC.
Here's one more. Puerto Viejo, Costa Rica. I've also been to Costa Rica. It's awesome place. I would retire there, I think, if I could. And cannabis is decriminalized in Costa Rica, and it's widely accepted as part of the peaceful Latin American country's quote-unquote pura vida mindset. That's what they say down there. Pura vida.
Everything I've seen of Costa Rica, it looks beautiful, Phil.
It's gorgeous. It's the prettiest place I've ever been, and the people there are some of the friendliest you'll ever meet.
They have great scuba diving.
They call themselves ticos. And so spend the day lounging on the beach, walk a few feet to explore rainforests full of howler monkeys and toucans, but save some energy to check out the nightlife, and the nightlife is rocking, in spots like Rocking Jay's, where you can spot pot leaves on the floor, tiles, or just catch a smoky screening of a Doors concert in a beachside shack. So there's lots to do there, and you can get high while you're doing it. Nobody cares.
Nice.
Wouldn't that be nice?
Oh.
Just live in a country where people don't care if you get high.
So is Washington, D.C. on that list?
Nope.
Actually,
Washington, D.C. has some very strong restrictions. You can grow it. You can give it to your friends. I think you mentioned this, Andrew.
Yes.
But you can't sell it.
Well, not for now. But
not for now. Now,
but it's a great city. I mean, there's a lot of tourists come to Washington.
Now, if you get caught by the cops smoking in public, they can write you a ticket, but they can't make you put it out, which is odd.
That is weird.
That's the rule.
It's the problem with D.C. is if you walk across the street and you step on federal land, then all of a sudden,
you got to be careful.
Then you can get arrested.
Then put it out.
Then put it out. Then just
leave your weed on the other side of the street.
Getting back to the election and the outcomes, which we're still kind of getting in little by little. Here's a story. Voters reject all 3 Kern County cannabis measures. Now, I find this interesting. I got this off KGET. It's a local NBC affiliate in Bakersfield. Weed will remain illegal in the city of Bakersfield and across Kern County. The voters of Kern County rejected all 3 cannabis measures on the ballot. Cannabis has been a hotly contested issue in Kern County for years, and it could remain that way for some time. The gist of this is we're in California. Cannabis is legal, but we talked a little bit last episode about dry counties with alcohol, and of course, jurisdictions can do the same thing in legal states if they want, and that's what they've done. The problem I see here is that they've given an extension for 6 months, but a bunch of businesses are already set up. There's dispensaries in the county. There's small businesses selling paraphernalia and so forth, all legal, and now they're not legal. So it seems a little unfair, but it's interesting. And,
so in 6 months, they're going to shut down.
Yeah, they're going to have to shut down.
Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. Well, they've given them a 6-month extension, and the advocates are hoping to get it back on the ballot. But still, I mean, yeah, they're probably screwed. Bakersfield is notoriously conservative, in a notoriously conservative part of California. So it's not a huge surprise, but it gets back to the regulation thing we've talked about before when everything is not spelled out. All of a sudden, a state allows legal recreational cannabis, and people start running and rushing and raising capital and opening businesses. But you got to be careful where you're doing that, because some of these jurisdictions pull the rug out from under you.
Right. Well, these are the Sooners,
Yeah, that's right.
That are coming in. It's a shame that they're going to be put out of business, but on the other hand, a little market research might have helped them a bit more.
Yep.
before they invested all that time and money and energy.
You're right.
Well, the fight might not be over. They might go to court and get a injunction to give them more time.
I don't think so, Andrew, because it's just like a dry county in West Virginia. It's up to the residents to make that decision. So I don't know who's going to go. Is a court going to step in? I don't know. I doubt it. I think they're going to have to pack up. They're going to have to pack up and move somewhere that's a little more cannabis friendly.
That's too bad.
Yeah, you got to know the lay of the land.
Yep.
Apparently, Mexico introduces a bill to legalize medical and recreational cannabis use. Andre Manuel Lopez, the president-elect of Mexico, and his soon-to-be Interior Minister, Olga Sanchez Cordero, proposed a bill to legalize marijuana. If it passes, it will allow each individual to have up to 20 plants, wow. At a time,
nice.
For personal consumption. And the bill would include regulating and monitoring production, sales, and consumption. It also says that you can have up to 400 and some odd grams, which is like a year. So they say you can grow a pound a year per person, which is, I don't know how they're going to be able to track that.
Yeah, I don't know how they do that either. That's interesting because you were talking about the Supreme Court. Obviously, they just ruled that cannabis was legal. And here already they've got these laws. I guess they had them in the pipeline, right?
Right.
Do you know what's the outlook? What's the prognosis for that bill? Do you know?
It doesn't state that, but it does say like the former president, Michael Vincent Fox, argues that
Vicente.
Yeah, he says that if we legalize, it will reduce the sales and the power of the drug cartels, and then in return, it would reduce drug-related violence.
It's such a no-brainer.
Where have we heard that before? Right here on Vote Pro Podcast, exactly.
Yeah, Milton Friedman, 1975.
That's right.
So now, if that does pass, it means to the north of us and to the south of us are countries that have federally legalized cannabis.
Yep.
That's right. That's right.
And the thing about it, America, we're about, what did Winston Churchill say about America? They always do the right thing after they've exhausted every other option. So we will get on board. And right now, I think some of the best cannabis in the world is being grown in the United States. And I think some of the most advanced technologically and socially enlightened companies are going to be in the United States. I mean, we got to stand up for, let's make American cannabis great. Let's be pro-American cannabis, just like we're pro-American corn, we're pro-American beef. Let's be pro-American cannabis. We can lead the world.
Pro-American steel and aluminum.
Processing and packaging, all the ancillary businesses around the cannabis industry is huge. I mean, it's going to be.
Yeah.
It could be.
Did you say it was like a $600 billion industry?
And then if you add in all the ancillary, all the landlords and electricians, contractors, everything else, I mean, we're talking $1 trillion a year.
Unfortunately, it's lawyers too. But yeah, you're right.
Well, that's the other half trillion. Yeah,
but smoking weed, according to the federal government, isn't good for you, so they won't allow it.
That's why they have a patent on using cannabis to shrink tumors. Yeah.
This reminds me of those people who say, why are black people, why are women, why are gay people voting for this person against their own self-interest? Why don't you let the voters decide what's in their own self-interest? Why don't you let me decide what's in my own self-interest? Why don't you let the people whose health, who are responsible for their own health, decide whether this is good for them or not?
In celebrity news, which is always fun, if we can find articles about celebrities that have to do with cannabis. I got a couple here I'll go through real quick. First one's Francis Ford Coppola. Most of you may know he's got a wine business, which is actually, vineyard in a marketing business selling wine. It's just pretty successful, and his wine ain't cheap.
And he's had it for years. I mean, he's had it for 20 some odd years.
Yeah, it's been around for quite a while, and his wine's good. I mean, I like it. Filmmaker turned winemaker Francis Ford Coppola is the latest high-profile drinks maker to enter the cannabis game with a lifestyle brand he's calling the Grower Series.
Nice.
As reported by winebusiness.com, Coppola's cannabis collection comes housed in a tin shaped like a red wine bottle with an embossed marijuana leaf emblem. Inside the tin are 3 grams of weed, a glass pipe, matches, and rolling papers. Now he's got three different varieties he's selling. He's got an indica, a sativa, and something he calls a mood focus enhancing, which we don't really know exactly what strains are in there.
Hybrid, I'm sure.
Yeah, it's some kind of hybrid. So the bottom line is he's got a business now selling weed, and he's targeting, marketing it at high-end consumers. It's going to be expensive. One of the other interesting facts is you may know if you're in the alcohol business, selling beer, wine, or spirits, you are not allowed to be in the marijuana business. So what he's doing is it's a separate company, and he's partnered with some growers. But it's still his company. So anyway, that's one. That's pretty interesting. Francis Ford. So keep your eye out for Francis Ford Coppola's weed. And the second story I have here is fighter Mike Tyson is starting a TV show about his life as a cannabis grower. I got this out of High Times.
From pigeons to weed.
From pigeons to weed. This is by A.J. Harrington. Former boxing champion Mike Tyson is developing a television sitcom based on his life as a cannabis grower and entrepreneur, according to a report from page 6 of the New York Post. Production has already begun on Rolling with the Punches at the office for Tyson Ranch near Los Angeles in El Segundo. The show stars Tyson, his bodyguard Chuck Zito, and Russell Peters as his useless best friend. Tyson explained the premise of the show, which is loosely based on the former boxer's real life. It's simple. I'm playing a retired boxer who is growing marijuana, Tyson said. It's basically me acting like me, so people can get a look at what my life could be like in different scenarios. So keep your eye out for it. It doesn't mention what network. I don't think anybody's bought it yet. I think he's still trying to sell it, but it's
I would watch it.
Yeah, I'd definitely watch it.
If the networks are listening, I would watch it. That sounds hilarious to me. I thought he was hilarious in The Hangover.
Oh, he was great. I love Mike Tyson, man. He's an interesting character, man. He really is. He's an interesting guy.
Yeah, don't worry about Omar. Omar's not with us anymore.
So there you go. That's your celebrity news of the day. And I think,
well,
Mike Tyson,
I don't make a move until I know what the celebrities are doing.
Me either. Gotta know.
One thing about Francis Ford Coppola and the wine industry, you're going to see, or we're seeing, a lot of people who are in the wine industry getting into the cannabis industry because they're kind of similar. The growers, the processors, the marketing. There's going to be.
Yeah, I think you're right, Andrew.
Ford Coppola, it sounds like he's having varietals. Like a vineyard would.
That's what he said in the interview. Yeah, you nailed it. Exactly. That's what he said. And he said it's so
cannabis
similar
varietals
to the wine business.
It's going to be high grade, high quality, and it's for the cannabis connoisseur.
Exactly. That's the, and I guarantee it'll do well.
Oh, I'm sure it will. A little bit of wine, a little bit of song. Only thing you need now is a woman to share it with. A little bit of love.
There's a new strain out. There's a company in San Francisco, and they've developed this strain that is specially designed to help you orgasm. They say especially women have a lot of positive responses from this. Now, the woman who started this, her name is Karen Wagner. Apparently, she and her partner smoked up, and they had a romantic interlude. And she just said, oh, my God, that was the best ever. That was the best sex she's ever had. And she sort of attributed it because this weed was just put me in the right mood. So she did the research, and she was already in the weed business. Now she's marketing a strain called Sex Pot. Now, the thing about it is they say that instead of like the average weed nowadays has between 18 and 20% THC, this has around 14% THC, but it's higher in CBDs. So what it does, it gives you that, relaxes your body, but it doesn't get you all wasted. Sense. So which sort of makes it that they say a lot of women say that it helps them to concentrate and they're not so wasted that they can't perform. And apparently, there is a great increase in sexual response.
Nice. So I assume this is being marketed to women, right?
Well, I'm going to have to keep a stockpile of that.
This is being marketed to women, I take it?
Yes, it's been. No,
I mean, do men really need help having an orgasm?
I don't think men need any help having orgasms.
Well, but what it does
I could have one right now if I wanted.
I need some weed that'll help me have so many.
The impression I get is it's very popular with women, but men use it too. I don't know if really a lot of men need it, but some, it still enhances the experience. Maybe
I need
they'll have
something
more
to slow things down a little bit, if you know what I'm saying.
Or they'll have a more intense orgasm. They'll be more relaxed. And it definitely has a full body effect. Now they're saying that there's a lot of people that are saying use high CBD stuff before you exercise because you'll get a better workout.
Huh? Why is that? Because you're not feeling the burn quite as much?
Yeah, I don't feel the burn as much. Yeah.
Huh.
I guess. I don't really work out that often.
I wouldn't know
either.
Workout? What's workout?
I tried that before, but once I got stoned, I never got off the couch to go to the gym. So,
yeah.
That's the problem. The other day I was on the couch thinking that I got this feeling that I should go work out. So I sat on the couch till the feeling went away.
Yeah, a couple bong hits, and I'm going to go to the gym. Next thing you know, you're on. You're like, on episode 45 of some Netflix show, and it's like 5 o'clock at night. So yeah, that's not going to work.
Well,
for me.
there is a gym out there that it's like a smoke and lift or bake and lift or whatever it's called.
Bacon
And
lift.
yeah, you go there, you can get high and work out in the gym together, and they say it gives you a better workout.
California?
Right, and you know what I think they should have, hands down, is a Dave and Buster's where you can smoke up.
Oh, that'd be fun, man. Yeah,
man.
I think
I'd
that would-
never leave.
I think I could see a lot of people enjoying that.
that's going to happen. That's going to definitely happen.
Well, we hope you all enjoyed this episode. And if you did, we hope you'll do us a couple of favors. First of all, if you can leave us a comment or a rating, that really helps us to grow our audience. And why is that important? Because the more voters we can reach out there, even now, the more people are likely to vote for more sensible, more humane cannabis legislation, and we need everybody we can get. We also hope that you will share this with a friend. Surely you know somebody who would enjoy this podcast and get a lot out of it. Give them a call, send them an email, or just share us with a friend. You can find us on VoteProPot.com.
Or you can send us an email at VoteProPot@gmail.com.
And please like and follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and LinkedIn. Just search for VoteProPot.
And as always, we need all the help we can get. Please stay involved, stay informed, stay active, and vote ProPot.
Wish I was up in Vancouver at the Cannabis Cafe, smoking good old Sensimilla at the beginning of the day. But here I am in New York City, hiding out in Central Park, getting kidnapped by the police today sometime before dark. But I wish I was up in Vancouver at the Cannabis Cafe, smoking good old Sensimilla at the beginning of the day. The judge looked down upon me, frowned. He said, "Kid, get on your way. Just don't start out your morning with espresso and a J." I said, I wish I was up in Vancouver at the Cannabis Cafe, smoking good old Sensimilla at the beginning of the day. Hitched on out to Portland, caught a ride up to BC, took the bus over to the neighborhood to have a bowl with my coffee. Now I'm up in Vancouver at the Cannabis Cafe, smoking good old Sensimilla at the beginning of the day. Smoking good old Sensimilla